Hello, my name is Julie, and I like to talk about spiritual stuff. So, if you've been watching my daily vlog, you've noticed this sweatshirt over and over again. It's because I have a couple of them. Looking at the other one over there in my pile of clothes. And this is the sweatshirt that I've lately just been wearing in my house when it's like bedtime. I put it over my tank top. And I take it off when I sleep. So it's just like it's like my robe kind of, but it's a hoodie. And I usually make these when I sit down. So just in case you didn't know, it's not that I only ever wear this sweatshirt ever. It's just that this is like my chilly in the evening kind of cozy thing, and I have a couple of them, so it probably looks like I'm wearing it a lot. I've also got laundry drying here on the curtain rod, and that's another hoodie. So I might switch to that one when it's dry, because that's not one I like to wear out and about. It's like tie-dyed and I don't know. And this one has bleach stains on it. That's why I don't usually wear it out and about. And the other one has one, but it's on the sleeve. Less noticeable. But anyway, I guess I just felt the need to explain my repeat wardrobe. I do like having things the same, and I am like repetitious, like with what I eat. Sometimes like I'll get into a mode where I'll just eat the same thing every day. Hence, like yesterday I talked about how I made 5 salads, all the same salad. For the next few days, I did have my salad today. I also had some rice, steamed broccoli, and I tried to eat a tuna steak, but I couldn't. It wasn't that great. Here's my plate. I Yeah, I should have just stuck with the rice and steamed broccoli, but usually that tuna steak is pretty good. I don't know. I'm worried that, like, are they printing it? Like, are they 3D printing the tuna steaks now? I mean, is it possible? Why did it taste so off? It was frozen before I cooked it. So, like, I thawed it and then cooked it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm listening to my body, and my body said no thanks on that. What else about today? Today was a day. I did pack up some Christmas decorations. There are some that I've decided to keep up. Not this. This is a driftwood tree. That was my tree. I took the lights off. They're kind of sitting behind it right now, because I'm going to use those lights for the gingerbread house. This cardboard gingerbread house that I built for my granddaughter. She's going to love it. It'll be a surprise. It's in the corner right now. But I'm going to put the lights, the Christmas lights, in the roof so she has some light in there. And then, like, I have some Christmas decorations that are like referencing the night Christ was born, and I believe I'm going to keep those up year round, because that's just good energy. All is calm, all is bright, that one says. That one says, "O night divine," and the other one says, "Oh come, let us adore him." Love those. Anyways, the ornaments aren't in the closet yet, but that's because I still have to organize my storage room. So I figured I'll do that all at the same time. I usually will shift things, right? Like when it's winter, I keep my paddle boards and stuff in the closet. When it's summer, my Christmas stuff is in the closet. but I think there's a way I can do both for now. This is only my second year living here, so. What else? I moved locations, like I'm not sitting on my bed right now. I moved over here to the kitchen table, which is just a little small table with one chair at it, but I am in my desk chair. And I don't know, I just thought, like, instead of having my desk moved, excuse me, why can't I just sit at the kitchen table? Because I moved my laptop. Like, I usually sit on my bed to do my stuff. So my laptop's mobile, as a laptop is. So why can't I just move it to the table when I want to use it? Solved. So that's my plan. This is probably making no sense if you didn't see my previous vlogs. So, sorry about that. What else? There was something I was going to talk about. Oh, there was this post that I saw today. It was a guy who was talking about reactive attachment disorder. I think I've seen one of his posts before, but I'm not following his page, so it's nothing regular. But what I've gathered is that he had a bit of a following because he was sharing about his own journey. But he also had a foster child. He had a foster child that had this reactive attachment disorder, which, from what I gather, causes a person to be scared of closeness, to not trust people, and to feel comforted by chaos. So you can imagine if you have a child that's like this, that life is very difficult. One of the things he was talking about, though, is the difficulty that he experienced in that the system is not there to support him. The mental health system is lacking. Him and his family, and like the child he meant, we're not supported by the system that we have in place, because I would think this is a fairly new manifestation of what seems to be a chronically compounding issue through our relating patterns, as humans. It's the result of disconnection, when you have, like, you're born into a life where two parents are traumatized. I can tell you from firsthand, it does affect you, and you will have stuff to clean up. And if your coping mechanism is that you decide that closeness and connection is actually the enemy, I don't know. It's really heartbreaking, It's really heartbreaking. I was interested in the post because I have a son who has some difficulties, and I always thought, like, oh, I'll just love him more and be patient more, and that didn't really work. And I think the more, I recognized him as being traumatized, and the more that I was there for him, the harder things got, and the more, I guess, reactive he got. So I don't know, I'm not diagnosing him, but I just kind of felt for this guy when he was saying, like, his struggle, But he was at a point where he had gotten the child into a facility so that at least people and the child were safe, because this child was causing a lot of damage. And I understood the relief that could come with that, because I too had experienced that, and it took me a long time to even consider it as an option, but I had to. So it was really sad, and really felt for the man's situation, because I could relate, and just because I'm a human. But one of the things he said was that, like, because he has a platform and he is sharing, that he got an outpouring of care and empathy, but he also got an outpouring of mean comments and judgments, you know? And I was thinking about how, and he said it was because a lot of people don't understand this situation because they don't understand that the mental health system is lacking and what the situation actually is like. But I was thinking that you could look at any comment section and you see that division of people being like very empathetic and also very mean and cold. Because I had also seen a post, um, local post about someone who hit a moose, and the moose was a big moose, and the driver was okay, and the moose hit the truck and just crushed the front end of the truck and walked away. And so, I mean, I say the moose hit it, but like I guess the moose stepped out in front of this person. So, anyways, the comments sections, not on the local page where it was shared, but on like the statewide page, the comments were crazy. Crazy. There was this people that are so. So, I'm editing this. I've already edited out 2 coughs and then just gave you an extra one. Anyways, I was editing this and I'm at the part where I talk about the moose post. And I want to share my moose story. So this is a side note. Sorry to interrupt myself mid-sentence like I did here. But, so, if you're not from around here, maybe you don't know, but, like, we have moose. And we have really big moose. Like, you can see them all different sizes, and I've seen varied sizes, but years ago, I used to have to travel this long, windy road, country road, um, doing the switch off for my children, from returning them from visitation and so on and so forth. So, during this time, there's one particular time I was really upset. It was after my ex had gotten his divorce, so we were like more talking because the wife had run away when he cheated on her too. So, but I was really upset. I forget about what, but just dealing with him in general was pretty upsetting a lot of times. And oh, I think I just remembered what it was about. But so I'm driving home and it's dark, and I've been crying, and I'm in a Jeep Commander. So if you don't know, a Jeep Commander is kind of like looks a little bit like a Hummer. You know, it's like a big vehicle. It's like, high off the ground and stuff because the tires are big and stuff. So I'm driving along on this road, and all of a sudden, there is a moose that stepped out in front of me. And I think 40 miles an hour is probably the speed limit on that road, so that's probably what I was going. So I slam on my brakes. Now I come like this to a stop. Like the hood of my car is like this. Pretend this is the belly of the moose. It's like this. And he's walking by. I came that fucking close to dying. Like the whole moose would have been in my windshield if I hadn't have stopped right there, because his belly began above my hood. He did not flinch as he walked by. He was just like at the slow, steady pace across the road. I come this close to him, his legs. He doesn't flinch, doesn't look my way. I am just stopped watching this moose continue on his path across the road, and I am just like, I just almost died. Like, holy fuck. I mean, sorry about the language, but like that's what I was thinking, right? Like it was just like I just felt like saved, you know? Yeah, I was really blessed. And of course, there have been so many times in life where I've been saved and blessed like that, but that is a particularly memorable one that I was reminded of when this woman described her experience of having this moose step out in front of her. Unfortunately, she was not able to stop the truck in time. I believe she was on a road where the speed limit is like 50, so But when she described it being a big moose, I got that, you know? Anyway, when else would I share this story? That was my moose story. Now back to my comments on the comments. Okay, I'm still editing. I keep getting interrupted, like with making these plans for tomorrow. Actually, my dog. We got plans for tomorrow. So I was just going back to editing. Oh, also my granddaughter Hazel called me, and then my son called me. My other son. Um, Sometimes I think that my loved ones have a sixth sense for when I'm busy, but it's fine. I love them, and you know it'd be much worse if they didn't give a shit and never called me, right? Um, so, anyways, I just thought of another moose story. Okay, I almost forgot this one. I remembered it after I was listening to my whole other moose story, and then I was like, oh wait, there was another time I hit a moose on that same road. So same road, long windy road. This time the moose was much smaller. So I'm coming up on it, and he sort of, it looked like he was drunkardly or whatever, right? He steps out of the woods, and he's kind of coming diagonal towards my lane, and I'm traveling like this, and he's coming like this, and I see him, so I, slow down, start, I'm on my brakes, and I cannot stop the momentum of my car, um, in time before this moose just comes, rolls up on my hood very slightly, and then bounces off, rolls around in the road, gets up, and walks off into the woods the other way. I felt terrible. I cried, for the moose. He must have been so sore. My my Jeep was fine. I got out and looked, and nothing had happened. Another car came up, behind me, like, and didn't really see the whole thing, but like was just like, you everyone okay? I'm like, yeah. And in the road where the moose had kind of done its tumble salt, there was just like flies. Like this moose must have been inundated with flies because they were all disoriented and like now in the road, just like circling. Um, so I wonder if that moose had an injury already, or like a disease that was making it, attract all these parasites. But I did actually hit a moose. It was just a much smaller moose, and it bounced off my hood of my Jeep. So, one thing about the Jeep, I mean, I was slowing way down, right? Like I was very close to stopping. So like it bounced off. But that was pretty crazy. Another time I was traveling on that same road for the same reason. This time I was going to get the kids. But yeah, crazy moose stories. That's my last one, I believe. Back to the comments. Back to my comments about the comments. Crazy. There was this people that are so varied in their responses, talking about bad drivers and how we should have state inspection, and how the poor moose, and how just debating on whether that moose would have injuries, and how they didn't believe that it wasn't bleeding, and just something rude was said about even the driver. I forget what it was, but it was just like, wow, you know? And I took myself back from any initial judgments I was having, because I was thinking like these people don't even, not one of them even cared about whether the driver was okay. But they're, that was weird to me. The driver was actually someone I know from high school, and I'm so glad she's okay. But I was like wowed by the comments, and then I just took myself back, and I thought, well, these people have had varied life experiences. It's just showing where their perspectives are at, and their perspectives are not predominantly coming from empathy. They're just not. And I thought about how that's what I see a lot of places, in a lot of comment sections, that people are more concerned with putting their 2 cents in, with being right, with correcting someone. And these are all programs that I've identified from our culture. So I understand them very well. I understand that the punishment and reward parenting paradigm created a bunch of people who are scanning the environment to decide who's right and who's wrong, who needs to be punished and who needs to be rewarded. And it's a program that's running, you know? So that program trumps empathy, you know? The program is going to show before empathy shows. So I was thinking about how this guy was saying that his the mental health care system was misunderstood by the general public, and that's why they were commenting meanly on his post about his son with reactive attachment disorder. But I saw the same type comments on a post about a car accident with a moose. And so what I was thinking about that was like, I need to slow down and be more discerning and not let myself get caught up into that stuff, because no matter what I see, no matter what I read, I don't know what that person's experienced, and I don't know what their intention is with the comment they've made. You know, I could infer a bunch of things. I could decide that somebody who has empathy for the moose and who's expressing that doesn't have empathy for the driver. But that's not true if that's not what they've said, right? Just because they express their empathy for the moose and not for the driver doesn't mean that they don't have any, you know? So I was just noticing that, like, yes, this is like discernment is needed, you know? And I think that there's also an argument for that, for people expressing their varied perspectives as a way to help others feel not alone. If that's their perspective too, it can help them to see that somebody else is sharing it. So even if it's off from what I think, even if it's not what I would think about first, it doesn't mean that nobody would, and it doesn't mean that that comment isn't very helpful to somebody. Maybe somebody who feels really alone and just need to know that somebody else thinks like them, or whatever varied reason it could be, you know? I wished that we could have more awareness for people who comment without realizing that the victims in situations can actually read those comments. Like, they will be affected by your words. You're not just writing to a blank space that no one's going to read. Like, those negative, mean comments can be read by a human being who has feelings and who is living something difficult and who happens to be sharing about it. So I wished for that, but, like, you know, also I don't get to decide how those people act. I don't get to decide where their shadows show up and, you know, whether they see them or not, or whether they're even going to heal them or not. So then I saw a post that it was a reel, I think, and it showed this girl who she was sharing a thread, a comment section with her boyfriend, and she's like, look at this comment section of this post. And then, like, the comment section was like a bunch of people sticking up for the person who had posted and saying, like, that the other party was disgraceful and blah blah blah. And then on the boyfriend's phone, the same post had comments that were the opposite of that. On the same thread, on the same post, on the same post by the same person at the same time. It was the same post. And the comments were negatively biased towards the poster instead of towards the other party. And I was like, interesting, you know, and this girl was pointing out that, you know, this goes to show this is why we're all divided, because some people see this, and I'll call it propaganda, and some people see that propaganda. And propaganda, I'm using that word with my understanding of its meaning as, like, you know, information meant to influence you. And I think that it's really a time for us to realize that a lot out there is propaganda, that even if the information is true and accurate and something someone shared and actually wrote, it could be sorted and filtered in a way that makes us biased or lean towards a certain way or give us a certain impression. So our discernment is needed more than ever, is what I've just realized from a little bit of looking online today. Our discernment is so important. And where does that discernment come from? It's an internal thing, right? So another example of like how to navigate in this, another example from my day today would be like, I was thinking that I wanted to call my son, and he usually calls me every day, but he hadn't called me. And I just wanted to call him because, I thought, like, I want to make sure he knows I'm thinking of him and I love him, and, basically that. There's nothing more I can do really with a call than that. And so I called him, and I could feel inside me, even earlier in the day when I thought of calling him, like, I would go to do it, and there was just something like, no, no, no. Like, my body wouldn't let me do it because it just felt like, no, I shouldn't do this. And I thought to myself, oh, I'll wait till like closer to dinner time, and maybe I'll call then because there's less risk of waking him up or whatever. So later, I thought of it again, and I was like, okay, I'll call now. And even then, there was some resistance there, but I pushed back through the resistance and the energy, right? I pushed through it because I thought, I gotta do this. My mind was thinking that. If I had gone totally internal, done a little meditation, had a little slowdown, and discerned fully, I think my energy would have said, it's not good to call today. Don't call. And here's why I think that. Because after I called, he actually answered the phone, and it triggered him. It triggered him to talk to me, and so he was a bit upset, And I didn't really, and he's not someone who has the tools to handle his trigger. Like, if I get triggered, it's a gift to me. I want to be triggered because every time I'm triggered, I can look within myself, find what's off, heal it, and move on with my life. Triggers are a gift to me because I am a full toolbox of how to handle that stuff. But he's not. He doesn't have a tool or a coping mechanism that's been working for him. His coping mechanism is to take on a new identity to deal with that particular trigger. And so I was like, oh, I felt bad for upsetting him. I tried to calm him a bit, wasn't really able, but he ended up hanging up on me. So we let that go. But then I thought to myself, oh yeah, maybe he could have done without that, because he told me he was making a necklace, and that's kind of nice if he's doing creation. And I interrupted his creation mode. Creation mode is like being close to God. So just this day was a lot of examples of me needing to slow down and go deeper inward on just even making decisions that my mind wants, because it's my mind that told me, oh, you're a good mother, you need to tell your son that you love him every day. It's like, I don't know, being a good mother might be checking in with my heart, connecting with my son there, sending him my love, and knowing that we're always connected and we can never not be, and slowing down and going from within allows me to do that for anybody I encounter. It I don't have to assume what they mean. I can ask a question if I need to if my mind needs to understand, but my heart knows if I just check in. My heart knows, and my heart may decide that there's no words needed more often than not. And I really believe that, because it's like, unless someone is asking me for help, there's not really anything I can do, I mean, of course, if like an old woman is fallen in the street and I'm walking near her, I'm going to pick her up, Like, I'm not saying I won't help unless she asks me or anything like that. I'm just saying in general, me poking out there where my mind tells me I need to insert myself is not a very effective manner for navigating life in a graceful way. And although I would be offered grace for making these sort of fumbly mistakes, I truly believe that I'm at a point now that I can slow down and I can sort of be more discerning with myself if I just create that as a habit. So that is what I'm setting out to do, is create a habit of slowing down, because I think a lot of my life has been, and it's a habit now, has been just like finishing this, getting this over with, you know, like if I have a lot of tasks to do, I'm like, my Capricorn energy is like, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this. Like I'm doing it until it's done. I want to get stuff done. Like in Vedic astrology, my Capricorn, I have a Capricorn ascendant. In Western astrology, I have an Aquarius ascendant. If you know about astrology, those things might make sense when I'm saying them to you, but basically Capricorn energy is structured, is rules, is regulations, is organized, it's solid, it's um, punctual, it's practical, it's Saturn. It's like learning the lessons and learning them until you got it, you know? Yeah. So that is really how I operate. Also, I have Saturn in the sixth house. So my day to day life has a Saturn influence, meaning like I like routines. I like performing my duties and getting them done to completion. Saturn in the sixth house can produce a workaholic. And I don't know if you could call me a workaholic, but maybe. Um, Maybe not in the typical sense that some might define it, because we know that everybody has a different perspective. And I'm not saying their perspectives are wrong, but from some perspectives, you could probably say that, because I've just been regimented and I've just been like, I guess, letting my mind rule the part of me that methodically wants to complete tasks or, perform my routine to get it over with, because I have a Cancer moon who wants to be in the creative energy, who wants to slow down, who wants to be nostalgic, who wants to think and ruminate. And I have a ninth house sun in Scorpio. So, thinking and analyzing and knowing and sort of researching, which I don't really, researching, that's the stuff I like to do. So the tasks are kind of like, they're all chores to me, and I like to get them done. I've learned that you can't just ignore chores. You can't just ignore tasks. There are things that are practical and they need to be done. And I've just been like getting them done. And I'm realizing that there's a need for me to balance this out and add a little bit more slow discernment, even into those places. Just as a general practice, like letting that practice of slowing down and being more discerning be a bigger part of my life. I've got a message. I'm just going to peek. Just going to peek at who it is. In case it is my child, it is. Okay. I'm just going to pause you while I reply to my son. No idea what I was saying. Something about slowing down, being present. Yep, failed. Failed to do it right then. I feel like slowing down, being present would have told me what I was talking about, but it was that. Oh, hold on. Now it's my mother. Okay, so just trying to make some plans to help my son out tomorrow with a ride. Simple ride. And while I was waiting for him to reply, I started looking at my Facebook and look at the memories. And there was this picture of me as a baby in the feed. So I'll show you that here. I think that photo's too funny because I feel like it's just like I'm this little infant and I'm just like, huh? Like what? Here, I'll show you again. Like what? I feel like I look scared, surprised, baffled. Cute though. Real cute. My upper lip was thinner even as a baby, with a fat lower lip. So cute. Yeah, so slowing things down. And what a gift it is to have the time to even just come to these realizations and decisions for myself. And yes, it's my mind deciding to like make this part of my routine or habit. But the inspiration, of course, comes from my heart, right? Because I was resting. I was doing some resting. And that's when kind of I can hear my heart better, you know? Because during rest, I am slowed down. So that's my wisdom gained for today, as far as the spiritual stuff that I want to talk about. And I'm going to just close it out there because there's always tomorrow if I am so blessed as to have another day. See you then.